generation game. Everything that you can see. Got my Mary Berry cookbook now. When they met another frog and they became superhero frogs together, fighting crime in ponds. Hi everyone, hello. My name is Gemma, for those of you that don't know, and I am the Performing Arts Tutor for the Creative Remedies programme in Warrington. And for the last, well, this is the 7th week now, we've been doing the sessions online. So today we have a performing arts session for you. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy it, and if you've done every single session, then thank you so much for tuning in every week. Really great to have you with us. Okay, so this week is going to be some improvisation and building a character, and then leading on to telling their story. So a bit of storytelling, a bit of improvisation, and some character work as well. So I'm going to try and squeeze quite a lot into this session. You're going to need some paper and a pen, or a couple of pens of different colours if you like to work in that way. I tend to do that, so I like to do different colours. It sort of shows me where new ideas, new thoughts are. But if you just want to use the classic one pen, then go for it. So just grab any resources you might need now. So paper, some pens, and that's everything you should need. So if you grab those, press pause on the video. I'll see you in a sec. Fabulous. Okay, so there's going to be quite a few activities today where you're going to press pause on your video, which is absolutely fine. You could just do that. And there's going to be some activities that we're going to do together at the same time. There's going to be a section at the bottom where you can leave comments. So if this is your first time, or even if it isn't, and you have any questions about the activities, any comments, any feedback, that's always really welcome. And also if you want to share any of your work, or you want to tell us a bit about the character you created, or write a little bit of a poem of what some writing that you've done in the session, that'd be really lovely to see as well. So we're going to do a couple of warm-ups first, just to get our creative brain thinking, get us thinking a little bit quicker for our improvisation sort of half of the session. And it's completely optional whether you write this down or you speak it out loud. Either is absolutely fine, whichever your preferred method is. If at any point you prefer to speak out loud and you want to record it, then use something maybe like your phone, or if you've got a laptop, whatever you're watching the video on, maybe you could record your work then. You can always listen back to it and reflect on it, change it, edit it, build on it, then you've got it there as a resource. But if you just want to speak it out into the air, then that's brilliant as well. Especially these warm-up bits, warm-up activities, they're just to get us started. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to record it. I've got a stopwatch here, so you don't need to worry about the time. I'm going to give you a 1 minute on the clock, and you're going to write down or speak everything you have done so far today. If you get stuck at any point, go into the tiniest bits of detail that you can. Try not to stop through the whole minute, is the advice. Try and keep that brain ticking over, keep thinking of new things. Oh yeah, I read my book, and maybe write a bit about what was in the book, or went for a walk and I saw a cat, or whatever. Like, just try and keep working through that whole minute, just to unlock your creative side of your brain. Don't worry about sentences if you're writing it down. You can do lists. Don't worry about spelling or grammar or anything. None of that is important. Just that you spend a minute trying to get out of your mind onto the page or into the air everything that you have done so far today. Your time starts now. So think about what happened when you woke up, what you did in those first 10 minutes maybe. Depending on when you're doing this activity, you may have had a full day, or only just a very small part of the day has gone by. 20 seconds has passed though, so almost halfway there now. Keep writing, keep speaking, everything you've done today. Okay, 15 seconds left. Keep going, keep speaking, keep writing till the last second. Be as prolonged as you like with your description. And that's a minute up. Well done. Put your pen down, have a rest. Fantastic. That continuous stream of thought, whether it's writing or speaking, is a really good way of warming us up, ready for, especially for improvisation, which, if you don't know, means making things up on the spot without really any prior thought. So it's going to get us in good practice for that. Second warm up then, I'd like you to write down or speak everything you saw during your hour of exercise, either if you've done it already today or yesterday or whenever the last time you went outside and did some exercise. So that's a walk around the streets, a run in the park, a cycle down a cycle path, whatever you might have done. I want you to write down everything that you saw. Now, if for example you haven't been able to get out, perhaps you could go to the window of your house or wherever you're staying, have a look out, pause the video, spend a minute looking outside, and then come back and continue with us and do the minute and write everything that you can remember that you saw. It's a bit like the generation game, everything that you can see. So more of a visual. So if you've been for a walk today or yesterday, try and retrace your steps and think of everything that you saw. Okay, your minute starts now. Perhaps if you're anything like me, I've only really got about 3 routes that I take when I go out for my walks. So I probably would pick one of those routes in my head and walk it and think of the things that I might see on my way. Be as detailed and specific as you like. You're halfway there. Try to just keep it a continuous sort of thought tracking, I suppose. Try not to stop if you're writing. Try not to stop speaking. Keep thinking, describing those things that you saw if you're running out of things. Just 5 seconds left. And finish. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. Well done. Hopefully that went well. If you felt I didn't quite get it and I was only getting into it near the end, just rewind the video a bit and do them again maybe. As long as you can get to a point where you're speaking or writing for almost all of the 60 seconds of that minute, I think that that's a really good place to be. Okay, another exercise now that's going to just keep warming us up, and it's going to test your improvisation skills. So the first exercises there were factual to an extent. There were things that you've actually done, you've actually seen that have happened in real life. This activity is going to be more about you making things up, okay? I have a selection of literature to my right. I've got magazines, I've got books, I've got a Jane Austen book, I've got a book that I've just read, I've got a poetry book, I've got some magazines, I've got a baking book, I've got one of my own notebooks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out, I'm just going to open it at a random page and pick out a word, the first word that I see, okay? So for example, here, mother was the first word that I saw in that. So I've got the word mother, and I'm going to do it with another, so I'm going to do it with a magazine, and I've got the word creative. That's good news. Okay, so I've got 2 words now, and I've got 1 minute to talk out loud or write, whichever you would prefer, how those 2 words can connect or how they might link. Now there's no right or wrong answer with this, so you can just make up anything you like. So for example, if I was doing that, the word mother and creative, and my time started now, I might say, okay, so my mother is a very creative person. She was always really good at telling stories when I was a child. She did all the voices, and even sometimes she would turn off the light and put the lamp on and do shadow puppetry on the wall. I remember one particular story that she did involved a bunny rabbit that would hop along the wall and make me really happy, until unfortunately one night I had a dream about a scary bunny rabbit that was on the wall in my bedroom, and we never did do the shadow puppetry again. Okay, so that was just me literally just making that up on the spot there, and it wasn't true. It didn't happen, but I was trying to create a link between the word mother and creative. Okay, so we're going to do just a couple of these for you now. So I've used those books, right? So 2 words. First one, 7. So the number 7, and let's use this poetry book. Number 7 and the word lamb. Okay, you've got to link those 2 words. Tell me as if you're trying to convince me that you are an expert on how these 2 words link. Speaking it or writing it, whatever you find most comfortable. You've got 1 minute to link 7 and lamb. Off you go. Of course, if you do want a little bit of mini preparation, you can always pause the video, have a quick think, and then press play again. Do not worry about that at all. I would try and keep that preparation down to a minimum though, because half of the fun of this is just going for it. Seeing where it takes you, the writing or the stream of words that come out of your mouth and where it takes you. Lamb and 7. Okay, you're well over halfway now. Just 10 seconds left. Five seconds to go. Keep it going, keep talking if you can, keep writing if you can. And finish. Brilliant. Well done. Really well done. It's always hard to do the first one. We're going to do another one. So hopefully now you've got the idea. It's just about, now we're not doing factual stuff, we're making things up. We're creating a world where lambs and the number 7 are partners. They work together in a story or a creation that we're going to make up. So let's have another go. Let's get another one. So we've got another book. Susie. Okay, so the first word I saw was Susie. So we've got a lady called Susie. I'm looking at my notebook. And the word is art gallery. Okay. Susie and an art gallery. How do those 2 words link? You've got again another minute. If you're writing, give your hand a little shake. That can hurt when you're writing lots at the same time. If you're speaking, have a little drink of water. And you get a minute on the clock. Susie and art gallery. 1 minute telling me continuously, without stopping if possible, how they link. Off you go. Susie works at the art gallery. Perhaps Susie founded the art gallery. Maybe she visits the art gallery. Perhaps inside the art gallery there is a painting called Susie. What is that painting? Describe it. You're over halfway. Fifteen seconds to go. Keep going, keep that story going, keep that connection. Keep being the expert on these 2 words linking. 5 seconds. And finish. Fantastic, well done, well done. I would love to be hearing these words or reading these words. So if you want to tell me any comments on underneath of where your 2 words took you, I'd love to hear that. I'm going to do one last one. So hopefully now we're completely comfortable with this activity, and it's you're doing it with ease. I'm sure you're doing it brilliantly. I've got my Mary Berry cookbook now. Okay, first word that I see in here is chicken. Not surprisingly, it's a food. So we've got chicken and got a newspaper here. Next word is buildings. Buildings. So chicken and buildings. This is a tough one. Okay, so I'm going to get a minute back on the clock. Tell me how those 2 words link. The word chicken and building. Off you go. I really wish I could hear what people were saying. I'm trying to think where I would go with that one. It's a tough one. If chickens lived in buildings, high-rise flats, filled with chickens, maybe. Point is, there's absolutely no right or wrong. Halfway through, whatever you're saying, whatever link you are making between those two words is right. And if you can continue to convince your audience, as in the room or your page, that's why they're connected, then you're doing an excellent job. 10 seconds left. And you can stop. Fantastic. Well done. Well done. Thank you so much for taking part in that. It's a fun activity, but hopefully it challenges you to think of things on the spot, think of things quickly, and open up those creative parts of the brain that are not open and switched on the whole time. Okay, got another activity then before we start to create our character. Again, it's a bit of a warm-up, but it's a bit more developed. And we're not going to do this together. I'm going to ask you to pause this when I've explained it. And you might spend, say, 5 minutes or so thinking about this. Take a bit more time, not under the time pressures of the stopwatch. You can just do it in your own time. So you are hiking through a forest. Imagine the scene. When you see a tree with a hole in its side, it's the entrance to an underground passage. You go inside. Describe what you see. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can write this down. You can speak it out loud like you've been doing, or you can get up and you can imagine you've actually gone through this passage into this world and you're in there. So you might want to move around the space in your, wherever you are in your house, and react to the world that's around you. So there's sort of 3 stages if you want to stick with the writing, if you want to just speak it, or whether you want to get up and be immersed in that world that you've discovered. So you're hiking through a forest, you see a tree with a hole in its side. It's an entrance to an underground passage. You go inside, describe or react to what you see. Okay, so press pause, take some time to think about this, trying to be as creative, as visual, as imaginative as possible. Okay, enjoy, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Excellent, thank you so much for doing that activity. We're on to our main activity now of the session, which is creating a character. Quite often when I do a character creation session, possibly in Warrington, I often will start with, what is this person like? Who are they? What do they look like? Where do they live? All the things that they are. Sort of flipping it on its head for today. And we're going to start off by coming up with a list of things that your character is not. So when I say character, we're going to create somebody brand new. You're not going to talk about it as though it's yourself, if possible. Try and create somebody separate from yourself, somebody completely brand new. Sometimes you can find that you are influenced by people that you live with or people that you know. That's absolutely fine. But try and create a brand new person, a new character. And we're going to do that by finding out first what they are not. Your list, I would say, needs to be at least sort of 10 things on your list. Go as long as you like there. You can write as many things on that list as you like. I think 10, I would say aim for 10. Again, we're going to press pause and you're going to do this on your own. But before we do that, I'm going to show you my list. So I was creating a character. I didn't think too much about this list, I just wrote it. I think that was a good way to do it. But if you've got the time and you want to start thinking a bit more and really considering each one, then either way is fine. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of things off my list. For example, I've put not a child, not afraid of spiders, not an explorer, not a fan of reality TV, they're not alone or lonely, not confident, not comfortable in large groups, not balding. So as you can see, it's a real range. It can be things to do with their personality, literal things like things that they like not a fan of reality TV. I've put not indoors, that's like a literal thing. They're not indoors, so that's maybe when we meet this character, they're not inside. Not a child, so it's a really practical thing. We get an idea there of how old they might be. Okay, so I'm going to show you mine one more time. and then I would suggest that you press pause on the video and you come up with your own list. Off you go. Excellent, brilliant. So you now should have a list of all the things your character is not. Now, even though it seems an unconventional way of doing it, it's quite useful, because for some of them, for example, not a child on my list, I know this is an adult, and this can start to help me to build the picture of who this character is. Okay, so you can start considering the gaps basically in your list and to start to discover who they actually are. They can be anything. They can be anything in the world. They don't have to be a human, but they can't be anything that you've said they're not, if that makes sense. That's the only rules. So you're going to fill in the gaps now. You're going to consider things like, where do they live? Where are they most comfortable? Where are they uncomfortable? Who are they? Where do they work? All of those things. And if it helps you to go through your list, that's what I did. I said, right, they're not a child, so they're an adult. And I've decided they're 42, they're a female, their name's Maggie. I said not balding, so I decided they had short cropped hair. And then that made me think of what their face looked like. I said they always wore gold stud earrings, and their hair was a mousy brown colour. So go through each one of your nots and write what that means they are. Sometimes that sent me off on a little idea creatively, or they read a lot of books, so that must have come from not an explorer, I think, or not a dreamer. Logical thinker, reads a lot of books. They're clever. They don't speak until they've considered what they will say. They're a real thinker. And so it might send you off into a different direction. I've put that they don't own a TV. So those things could have been on my not list, but don't own a TV. That came from not a fan of reality TV. Watches a lot of things on computer, drama, news, documentaries, and loves listening to the radio. She loves listening to Women's Hour. She's got a cat called Fred, perfect company. She works as a researcher for a university. She eats ready meals and cereals mostly. Favourites are Cheerios and lasagna. That came from not a chef or cook, not very good at in the kitchen. So I'm going to show you my list. If you wanted to pause that and have a good look at that, that's all of the things my character is. So that's me filling in the gaps that my not list left. Okay, she's making her own kite. That didn't come from anything on this list. That just came from me starting to get to know her as I was writing down who she was. She's shy, she's not got many friends, but she does speak weekly to her sister on the phone. Okay, so there are ideas of who my character is from the gaps. That's your job now. Look at your not list. Start to fill in those gaps. So press pause on a new piece of paper maybe. Start to find out who your character is. Fantastic, excellent. So we're starting to build up this character now and start to understand who they are. Finally, I'd like you to decide on one event that has happened in their life which has changed things for them. It's an important moment, a defining moment in their life. Okay, now we know quite a bit about them. That should be easier than to just pluck it out from the very beginning, but start thinking about, maybe if you're struggling, pick one of the things we know. Doesn't own a TV, watches a lot of things online, so maybe the defining moment was when they got a laptop or when they got the internet, and it allowed them to then have access to documentaries and catching up with things on the internet. For example, has a cat called Fred. It could have been when she got the cat. So it could be related to that list, or it could be something completely different. I'll tell you what I've written for my character Maggie. A defining moment for Maggie was moving into her own house. She's now able to be completely comfortable in her own space. She used to be a part-time carer for her sister who has Down syndrome. Her sister Faith now lives in sheltered accommodation. So Maggie, at the age of 40, moved into her first house, just hers, with her cat Fred. It's near a park with a hill, and now her aim is to make a kite to fly in the park. Faith and Maggie used to do this a lot as children with their dad. She thinks Faith will love to visit and fly the kite with her. So I found the defining moment, which was moving into the house, and then I built a little bit on that. So that's your job now. Think of that defining moment, a momentous moment in that, an event in that person, that character's life that changed things for them. It could be for better, it could be for worse. It doesn't have to be a huge thing like moving into a house. It could be that they discovered an amazing bakery round the corner and now they eat fresh croissants every Saturday morning for breakfast. It could be whatever you want it to be. And those are quite naturalistic, quite real things. If you've got an alien character, or you were talking about a frog, you know, it could be anything. The frog's momentous moment of their life was when they met another frog and they became superhero frogs together, fighting crime in ponds. Okay, you can go anywhere you like with this. Off you go. Brilliant. So now we should have quite a rounded character. We know about a really key piece of information, a key moment in their history. We know what they're not and we know what they are and who they are. So now we've got enough information to tell their story. So your final activity with your character is to write a story about them. Tell their story. Excuse me. If you're quite enjoying writing during the session, I would say write either a story, like in third person, I guess, or it could be told by them actually. It doesn't have to be, it could be in first person, but a story like you would find in a book. Or you could write a monologue, and our monologue is what the character would speak. So if I was writing a monologue for Maggie, if I was to perform it, I would be Maggie, and I'd be saying, "Hi Fred, come on Fred. Oh, doesn't want to talk to me today. He's in his own world," or whatever. Okay, so a monologue is spoken by your character. A story can be written by anybody. So you can write that down. You can improvise as your character for 5 to 10 minutes or whatever. That's probably what I would do first, because I'm a performer initially, really. So I'd probably think about my character, I'd pause the video, and then I'd try and get into the role of Maggie. Think about her in her house, or in her garden where she spends a lot of time. I'd maybe even go out into my little yard and pretend I was Maggie and be in character for 5-10 minutes. Be in your space. You can always, when you've done that, come back and write down and go, what did I find out about her? What was interesting? But if you want to write a story about her or your character, or you want to write a monologue, then that's brilliant as well. So you've got a choice, either a story, a monologue, or you improvise in character. Okay? 3 options. You've got endless amounts of time. You can press pause and you can spend as long as you like on this. And just enjoy it. Enjoy telling your character's story. Excellent. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the activities today. All of the activities can be done in more depth. Can be done again if you want to go back and try them again. You can start a new character, do it for another character. Perhaps those 2 characters then might meet. You can write some dialogue for them, like a script. Whatever you like, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. The final task I'd like you to do is to write a poem. This poem is going to have 3 words in the first line, 5 words in the second line, 3 words in the final line. So it's a 3-5-3 poem. 3 words, 5 words, 3 words. And it's about being creative. I've written one. My poem is, when I create, a new world opens up. Escape, express, energize. So that's my poem. 3 words, 5 words, 3 words. Your subject is being creative. Please feel free to share your poems in the comments underneath. Have a brilliant week. Thank you for being creative with me today, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Goodbye.